Mr Speaker, my question is to the Premier.
Member for Ghana is warned. The Leader is warned. The member for West Torrens is on one warning.
Pathetic. Absolutely pathetic.
If the Leader and the member for West Torrens continue this way, they'll be departing today. The Leader is warned. Member for King has the call.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Premier. Can the Premier please update the House on today's ABS labour force statistics and how the state government is delivering more jobs for South Australia?
The Premier has the call, and I would like to hear this answer. Premier.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker. Well, I would like to provide some information to the Parliament, to this chamber, because I think that there is some encouraging signs of economic recovery in South Australia 7 months into the new government. As you may or may not be aware, sir, the Australian Bureau of Statistics have brought down their unemployment rate statistics for the month of September. Seasonally adjusted unemployment rate has fallen in South Australia to 5.5%. In fact, that puts us in 3rd position nationally. I mean, we were always at the bottom of the table under Labor. Since there's been a change of government, I think that there has been a change in sentiment in South Australia. Now, we think that these statistics are extraordinarily encouraging, but there's a huge amount of additional work to do to deliver on our ambition to get this state fully back on track and to make sure that young people finishing school, finishing university, have quality jobs to stay here in South Australia. I also would like to reflect on one other statistic that occurred today, sir, and that was looking at the number of people who have been employed in South Australia or are employed in South Australia this September compared to the September last year. And it's a staggering figure. There are an additional 10,800 more South Australians find themselves employed in South Australia over the last 12 months. That is a fantastic statistic for our state, but as I said, there is far more work to be done. We're looking forward to the $90 billion worth of defence contracts which are coming our way in South Australia, and in particular, the new government is doing everything that it possibly can to have the workforce ready, the skilled workforce ready to deliver on the full amount of this work that we can possibly bring into this state. I know that the Minister for Industry and Skills has been working extraordinarily hard on this. We've already announced more than $200 million in the next 4 years of new money going into creating more than 20,000 new apprenticeships and traineeships. And we're doing this because we want to drive that unemployment rate lower. We want to drive that employment rate even higher. So that's exactly what we're doing. We've spoken in this chamber before about our exciting plans for Lot 14, the old Royal Adelaide Hospital site. We have a much greater ambition for this site than turning it into a housing development. 1,300 apartments on that site would have created some initial construction jobs. We're not denying that, but we think that our vision for this site, an incubator, accelerator for the future industries in this state, in this country, in the world, is exactly the right purpose for this incredibly exciting 7-hectare position in our state. I'm also extraordinarily excited about the 1st of January next year, because that's the date that our new payroll tax regime comes into play, and we believe this will be a further stimulus to create more jobs. And it's interesting because people are opposite. You can only hear them mumbling nowadays. They're not very cogent, but they are saying, "Why don't you do these things earlier?" This is the same party that in the lead-up to the election said this would just be putting more money back into employers' pockets. Now they're advocating for it. They talked about people being in the employer class like there were 2 classes in South Australia. Well, we want to improve the conditions for businesses to go out and employ more South Australians. That's our ambition. We're heading in the right direction, and we're going to be doing everything we can to accelerate it. And as of the 1st of January, there will not be a business in South Australia which has a payroll of up to $1.5 million that will be paying a cent anymore. That's what we're doing. It's a good start, but there's a lot further to go.
I call the Deputy Premier and the Education Minister to order, and I warn for a first time the members for Playford and Lee.
The Leader of the Opposition has the call.
Thanks, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Minister. for child protection. Is the minister aware of her responsibilities as defined by the Ministerial Code of Conduct? With your leave, Mr Speaker, and that of the House, I'll explain.
Is leave granted? Leave is granted, Leader.
Subsection 2.8, titled Cabinet Collective Responsibility, states, if a minister is unable to support a Cabinet decision publicly, the minister should resign from Cabinet.
The Premier.
The member for West Torrens is warned for a second and final time. The question has been asked. The Premier is attempting to answer the question. That is not an invitation by members on my left to interject. The Premier has the call. He'll be heard in silence.
Well, my Cabinet is fully aware of